CBS News has learned that the Treasury Department has sanctioned a North Korean cyber operative accused of running a scheme using remote IT jobs to raise money for leader Kim Jong Un's nuclear program. Since 2022, this operative has allegedly been stealing personal information from U.S. citizens, including names, social security numbers, and addresses, in order to disguise thousands of foreign workers as American job applicants. According to the Treasury Department, the revenue generated by these workers has been used to support North Korea's, quote, unlawful weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missile program. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Sganga. And Nicole, this is such a wild story and wild operation. What more can you tell us about this and the hacker who has been sanctioned at this point?
Yeah, a North Korean cyber operative was a notorious member of Kim Jong Un's military intelligence agency known as the Reconnaissance General Bureau. The U.S. had accused Song Kum-hayek of facilitating an IT worker scheme. He not only recruited North Korean cyber operatives to pose as American remote workers for hire, fooling companies worldwide, but also facilitated identity theft that made it all happen. In 2022, Song began stealing the personal information of U.S. citizens, including names, social security numbers, and addresses, in order to create aliases for the hired foreign workers disguised as American job applicants, with whom he ultimately split the proceeds. Now, the sprawling scheme, according to the Treasury Department, allowed North Koreans operating in both China and, believe it or not, Russia to collect paychecks as a fundraising mechanism for Kim's nuclear missile program.
Do we get the sense that the U.S. citizens who had their information stolen know at this point that they were affected by this?
At this point in time, we have no indication that any of the American citizens whose identities were stolen are witting here. In fact, separately, when CBS News has done its own investigation into this, some of the individuals targeted were deceased. We should say we know the worker scheme, it employs thousands of North Koreans, who all play a role in sort of funneling this money into the ballistic missiles program. The money-making scheme, by the way, we know is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, according to FBI senior officials. We do know that the kinds of jobs span popular industry sectors like business, health, fitness, social networking, sports, entertainment, according to the Treasury Department. We also know that North Korean cyber operatives often take on projects that use virtual currency exchanges, so think cryptocurrency, and that actually enables them to more easily launder the money back to Kim's regime undetected.
Nicole, do you get the sense that sanctions are actually enough to put an end to these types of hacking operations?
Yeah, it's an important question, Nancy. It's not going to thwart North Korea's fundraising for its nuclear missile program altogether or put a stop to the IT worker scheme. But experts do tell us that sanctions can be meaningful in limiting the travel of malicious cyber operatives and really just raising awareness within companies around the world. So much of what the U.S. government's trying to do right now is to really educate companies and our foreign allies about the warning signs and the prevalence of some of these North Korean remote worker schemes, so they shore up their hiring practices across industries. And this is interesting. Cyber experts also tell CBS that nation-state actors and cyber criminals often make more mistakes when they know they're being watched, when they're under pressure. So the more eyes, the more attention the bad guys get, the more likely they are to expose themselves.
What a wild story, though. Nicole Sganga, we really appreciate your time and insight.
Thank you very much.